Hey everyone, it's Gloria with Glory Be Resale, and I'm here to do a what sold from October 20th to the 26th last week on eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari. The first thing to sell was this man pack slack kit, and it was like a tailor's little package on repairing slacks. And this sold for $30. I had this for quite a while. Um, actually, it was kind of getting thrown around my shop outside, and I finally put it away. And it sold not too long after, which is always a strange thing. I can have things sit in front of me for months, and as soon as I put them out away, they get sold. So sometimes I think you just have to put hands on the stuff. Anyway, this sold for $30. Cost to me on it was 99 cents. Next item to sell was this rare vintage Leandro Tang gray porcelain Dachshund dog figurine and from the 1960s. This sold for $109 and the cost to me on it was $3. Next item to sell was this Smith workwear thermal shirt. This I took an offer of $15. I've had this sitting around for a while. It's not the greatest brand for reselling, though it's pretty heavy workwear. It's actually nice. If you're working outside, it's warm. But anyway, I took an offer of $15. The cost to me on it was $3.25. The next item to sell was this Pop Gun Champs 96 Don't Mess with the Best bomber jacket, and this one I took an offer of $55, and the cost to me on it was $6.49. The next item to sell was this Punxsutawney se- sesquicentennial white hat, and this sold for $10. I took an offer of $10. I'm going to guess this is probably the same person who bought the last one a couple weeks ago, but I didn't look it up, so I could be wrong. Anyway, I took an offer of $10. Cost me on it was 50 cents. Next item was this Madewell Waffle Henley top, and this I sold for $15.30. Cost to me on it was $4.99. Again, this is an item for a long time. I'm gonna say this has been sitting out there for a few years, so I was happy to get rid of it. Now over to Poshmark. First thing to sell was this vintage Pablo collection fuchsia skirt and jacket. It's a paisley skirt with the fuchsia jacket. And somebody bought this for $29. Cost me on it was $1. Next item to sell was this Coronan knitwear wool, merino wool, sorry, Irish fishnet fisherman sweater, size XXL, and this sold for $39. Cost to me on it was $6.49. Next item to sell was this Adriana Papel black white animal print dress. This sold for $28. and the cost to me on it was $4. The next item to sell, and this is a terrible picture of it, it was actually a bright white. It's just, I took bad pictures, it was a dark, dreary day, and, I never got around to redoing the pictures. It got put away, and I wasn't taking it back out. But anyway, it sold for $50. Cost to me on it was $2.99. I don't suggest you try to take the best pictures. It just seems like I think that week it was just rainy for a week straight, and I needed to do work. So I really didn't have the natural lighting I needed. Anyway, over to and if you wouldn't mind liking and subscribing, I'd really appreciate it. Helps me out a lot. And now over to Etsy. The first thing to sell over here was this vintage lot of Christmas tree Santa light covers. These were a bunch of little light covers you put over the lights on the Christmas tree. And it was a lot of 10 from 1960s, and these sold for $30. Cost to me on them was $1. Next item to sell was this adorable little pig uh, doorstop. It was a weighted bottom there, and this sold for $29. The person was very happy with it, and I sold it for $29, cost me on it was $1. I had left this at the store, and I kept thinking about it, so I went back for it, and it was down to $1 when I did, so that ended up working out nicely. Next item to sell was this pair of yellow gold, butter soft leather work gloves, vintage work gloves, and these sold for $54. Cost to me on them was $3. Next item to sell was this vintage Pendleton tweed riding sports jacket. This sold for $59, and the cost to me on it was $6.49. This was missing a button on one of the sleeves, but I noted that in the listing and it sold. Next item to sell was this small glass ornament, vintage ornament. It was Santa on a gondola boat, and this sold for $25. Cost to me on it was $1. And that one sold fairly quickly. I didn't have that up long. Next item to sell was this vintage lot of 3 miniature Christmas reindeer, white from the 1950s. These sold for $14. Cost to me on them was, I don't know, 25 to 50 cents. Next item to sell was this cabinet, apothecary medicine cabinet, and this sold for, oh, I think it was about 262 to $69. 262 to 69. And the cost to me on this was $4. I do have a second one of these that I bought at a different time, and that will be going up soon too. And I had somebody else that was interested in this one, and they it was already sold, so they might be interested in the other. So I gotta get that listed hopefully today. but that was a nice sale. Next item to sell was this Billy Ray Studios Santa on a cow with a cat and a snowman and birds. So that sold for $45 and the cost to me on it was $5. Next item to sell was the Celtics nativity set from Ireland. This sold for $25 and the cost to me on this was $10. I had bought this for myself and then I changed my mind on it, so I resold it. Not a great profit, but again, this was something I had picked up for myself and decided not to keep it. And the very last thing to sell on Etsy was this vintage mid-century Hollywood Regency wall sconce from Dot Industry, and this thing was huge. And it had 5 candelabras on it. And this sold for $99 and the cost to me on it was $5. Let's see what this was. Yeah, it was 35 inches high. So that's a pretty good size. That's like the size of a yardstick. And that shipped off. And that, my friends, was everything that I sold last week. And that would have been October 20th to the 26th. I hope you enjoyed seeing what I sold. I hope that you're having fantastic sales. And if you wouldn't mind, like and subscribe. I will see you next time. Bye.